What if I told you that a narcissist can also exist in the tech world, like any other world? What should employers do in terms of psychology when it relates to narcissism? Can they actually use and understand NPD from the DSM-5 as part of their motives and training? How can we stop a narcissist in the workplace? Let's unpack this right here, right now.
Voices of Victory podcast show. Voices of Victory podcast show.
It is now time for the Voices of Victory podcast show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mario Di Leone.
Hello and welcome to the show. I am Mario Di Leone, and guess what? Guess what we're going to talk about today? We're going to talk about narcissism in leadership. It's going to be a solution. It's going to be solution-oriented for the tech-driven world and tech-driven transformation in 2025. Yes, I said it. And I'm the one that's coming out and going to share that with the rest of the world. So we have to recognize that this is an actual problem. See, everybody talks about emotional intelligence. They all talk about that, right? But no one steps in and actually does leadership training on the concept of understanding a narcissist as it relates to the DSM-5 manual. All right? And that's where I come in. That's who I am. That's what I do. I want to help people. That's what I want to do. So you got to remember, leadership can walk a real fine line between confidence, misunderstood confidence, and of course, narcissism. So in 2025, this issue is exacerbated as it relates to the digital age. And you know what? It's magnifying self-promotion and personal branding. That's there as well. So the leaders that are driven by narcissistic tendencies, you know what? They may focus on their personal gains, leaving team morale in the gutter. What about innovation? What about company ethics? Are those things in the dust? So the tech sector is particularly vulnerable to this, where rapid growth and high visibility can foster a culture of individualism, so much so that it can border into unhealthy waters. So what's the big result, though? The result is burnout, ethical lapses, and fractured, damaged team dynamics. So let's talk about it. Because addressing this requires understanding the psychological roots of narcissism. It has an impact on leadership, and it also has an impact on actionable solutions. So I'm going to propose a solution right here, right now. And guess what? If you need me for training, get on the phone, get on the horn, visit my LinkedIn, Mario Di Leone, and we will get together and do training for your entire team. I will train your entire team. I don't care if it's 50, 150, 250, 600 people. There's no stopping me when it comes to the large group that's there. And you know what? Let's talk about the solution. Accountability framework, period. Let's start right there. Accountability frameworks. There needs to be systems within organizations that counterbalance the risks of narcissistic leadership. This includes regular 360-degree feedback and public commitment to team goals rather than individual achievements, period. And we also need more empathy training for leaders, and that's where I come in, is introducing workshops that help leaders develop emotional intelligence as it relates and the narcissistic red flags that come up. Because it's all about focusing on the needs of their teams rather than personal ambitions. This is about shared success metrics in tech-driven environments. It's about establishing performance metrics that reward collective achievements over the individual accolades. So guess what? It's time to celebrate the team effort. Celebrate the team effort in product launches, in milestones, in their innovations. It's time for leaders to make a public pledge of ethics in the tech industry when it comes to leadership. Because guess what? you should commit to transparency and fairness, signing an ethics charter that actually includes avoiding self-serving behaviors at the expense of the organization and at the expense of the teams. So, how does this actually impact? Well, guess what? How does narcissism impact leadership decisions in the tech world? I'm going to tell you right now, right here. Can leaders balance self-confidence with team-focused goals? That's another solid question. Now, what role does accountability play in mitigating the narcissistic tendencies? So these are some of the discussion points. I want to just unpack them right here. So the psychological underpinning of narcissism in leadership is real. And tech companies are, believe me, they're no stranger. They're no stranger to this world. Because the tech companies, startups, they're being derailed completely by narcissistic decision making. So real world strategies that actually have worked to combat this problem, and I think we should actually discuss them. Let's talk about it. Let's highlight the importance of these things. So there needs to be a leadership culture that values humility, values collaboration, and values ethical decision making. We have to recognize that solving the problem of narcissism isn't just individual change, but it's creating environments that promote healthy leadership dynamics, which also in turn is going to create a healthy team. So let's break this down further. So let's go over how we could combat narcissism in leadership in the tech world. Let's really break it down. Let's start off with establishing transparent governance policies. Let's go there. First off, we have to create and enforce clear guidelines for ethical decision-making, accountability, and resource allocation. So what should happen? Regular audits and open reporting structures that reduce opportunities for self-serving behaviors, period. Now let's go further. Every leader should get feedback from their peers, whether they like it or not. It sucks. It's not fun. I'll tell you right now, it's not fun. But that's part of being a leader, is being like that alligator or crocodile, is having some thick skin. So implementing peer feedback systems, using 360-degree feedback tools to gather the input and data from the team at all levels. And you know what? This reduces the leader's reliance on self-perception. And what it's going to do is foster a culture of balanced self-awareness, growth, and most of all, awareness of accountability, that you have to be accountable for things. Now, we need more focus on collaborative leadership training. That's where I come in. Developing a training program that literally emphasizes collaborative leadership. It connects to emotional intelligence and it connects to active listening. So these help leaders understand the value of prioritizing team success over individual accolades. Now, when it comes to the reward system, this is a big deal, a very big deal. We have to tie bonuses to team performance. And a lot of leaders aren't going to like hearing that. We have to redefine success metrics when we actually consider this idea. Because by rewarding team-oriented outcomes rather than individual accomplishments, this is going to discourage leaders from focusing solely on personal achievements or personal results. So I want to share that when a leader has a team and that team has performance and we tie a bonus to that performance, then that leader is going to work extra hard and be held accountable to see to it that the team's performance is going to be where it should be. Now, you got to be careful with the concept of tying bonuses to team performance, because what could happen is inadvertent browbeating. Is you get a leader that browbeats the team come on, you guys can just, winds up being pushy and fussy about everything, right? Where in actuality, it should be, the bonuses can be tied to performance, but it should also be tied to how that leader is interacting with them. All right, so it's not just the performance, but it's also the interaction. There should be the concept of behavior and impact. So, for example, if we're doing an assessment on a leader, we could say behavior, impact, right? So having that behavior and having an impact with that. Now, when it comes to having regulations, it's good to create an advisory board for leadership oversight. So having an independent advisory board, which is going to review some of the major decisions that are made by the leaders, and this board can provide the unbiased perspective. And the beauty of this is it serves as a reality check, and it helps the leader from the overgrown, ego-driven actions that are going on. Prevents those things. We have to have a culture of empathy. Stories of leadership that prioritize empathy and humility. You got to remember, being humble is difficult for a narcissist, having a sense of humility. But we got to have long-term vision over self-promotion. So why not recognize the leaders that are actually following suit? Now, another thing also is we got to limit some of the exposure of the leaders. Have some boundaries, because some of these leaders are like, they're so personal, branding heavy. It's like they're their own cheerleaders within an organization. And some of this overexposure can really inflate their egos really bad. It also diverts attention from collective goals. It's like saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, but you don't have a picture of your team behind you. You know? Everybody should be at the mountaintop together. And that's where we get to the last one, which is institute leadership rotation programs. It's important for you to rotate leadership responsibilities periodically within the department, within the teams. And this is all to ensure that no single leader holds unchecked power. And this gives opportunity to lead collaboratively. And that's where, when we have a leadership rotation program, that's where the advisory board actually comes in. So you can see how a lot of these things actually connect together. So hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. If you like, subscribe, and share. And if you need to reach out to me on LinkedIn, it's Mario D. Leone. And I will see you on the next episode.